mean, what exactly are the interview questions which are asked, right? I mean, that's where I think people are motivated to join this session. About myself, my name is Ashutosh, an enterprise agile coach, a consultant and a trainer. And yeah, I mean, I have also been a part of a lot of interviews. I mean, I have basically conducted interviews for a lot of professionals for an agile coach scrum master interviews, and this entire discussion or this entire narrative which I'm going to put forward is based on my experience. Okay, so this is what I have experienced when I have interviewed people, when I have interviewed coaches and scrum master for a scrum master position, when I have interviewed people. This is what is coming from my experience. Now, before I go ahead, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a small link here. Okay, and let me ask you this question. Okay, let me ask you this question, and those of you are interested, you can click on this link and go. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to type in and believe me, this is an anonymous link. Okay, it won't capture your name and all. Okay, it won't capture your name or any other demographic details. If I want you to write down what is that most curious question what you have got in an interview so far. Okay, what is that most curious interview question what you have got? So that link will take you here. You can use this sticky note on the left hand side and you can type in your question here. So before I reveal, and I'm assuming here that all of you have gone in for a Scrum Master and an Agile Coach interview. So what is that most curious question you have got so far? I mean, which you could not answer, or basically which you are unable to answer as a part of this. Yeah, if you can just type in there, that would really be great. Just have to click the sticky note here. I'll show you how here. And you can type in. Okay, you don't have to type your name. As I said, you have to type in the question what you have got in an interview. I don't need your name here. I need a question what you have got, just to know that okay, we are actually so that we know that okay, what kind of questions can be asked in the interview. Yeah, anyone would like to answer the given your questions first, so that we start it on that note, and then maybe we can discuss like what exact. So I like this session to be more interactive, okay, because then only it will be fun. Okay, otherwise it will be just a one-way communication. I'll definitely like this session to be more interactive in nature, so that we actually understand I mean, what exactly are the challenges we are facing. And I'm also sharing this link on people who are live on LinkedIn, so that even they can respond. Okay, so you can people on LinkedIn live also, you can go there and you can also respond to the question there. Okay, you have not attended any interview so far. Okay, interesting. But no, I mean, this could be any other interview, right? I'm sure you would have attended interviews in your entire career, right? So I'm sure you would have attended some interviews. Okay, some interesting questions coming up. Okay, what was your role? Okay, some interesting questions coming up. Last sprint of the release. However, team said on the last week of the sprint that they won't be able to complete the 2 critical features. How would you communicate to stakeholders and handle this situation? Okay, interesting. Transformation journey steps followed, and what was your role? If I'm just a Scrum Master now, to answer when I was not a part. Okay, so I will answer the second question first. This is a fair question. Okay, it's not that I am a Scrum Master so I cannot answer this. No, as a Scrum Master, you are a coach for the team. Remember this. A Scrum Master is a coach for the team. So this is a very valid question. So you cannot say that I'm a Scrum Master, so how I cannot answer this question. The clear expectation from a Scrum Master is that you, being the coach for the team, you are one of the key stakeholders of the transformation. Okay, yes, Agile Coach is there, but as a Scrum Master, you are one of the core members of the transformation. Last sprint of the release, however, team said on the last week of the sprint. So here, obviously, the blame is with the Scrum Master or an Agile Coach. And here they're trying to check that as a Scrum Master or an Agile Coach, why did it take the team the last week to inform? Why was this not known in advance? They're trying to understand your role in this, right? As a Scrum Master, have you failed or have you actually taken those precautionary steps? Okay, so that is what they're trying to understand as a part of this journey, right? They're trying to understand that. I'm talking about question number 1. So let us say if this is question number 1, which is there, I'll give it a label as question number 1 and this as question number 2. So question number 1, they're trying to understand your role as a Scrum Master, that why don't you basically take those precautionary steps, right? What have you been doing to take those precautionary steps? That is what number 1 is talking about. And question number 2, obviously, this is something which is a fair expectation. They want to understand whether you are really playing the role of a Scrum Master in a transformation or you are just a project manager in disguise of a Scrum Master. Okay, so that is what they're trying to see here. Okay, if you are not an RT, no, again you are mixing 2-3 things. I think I'm seeing 2-3 things being mixed up here. I did not even talk about the role of an RTE. RTE is a specialized role in a safe implementation. So definitely the job would have talked about that role, right? I'm talking about only a Scrum Master role here. Okay, Scrum Master and an Agile coach. Okay, you have identified one good process for the team, which you think is good for the team, but then the team does not want to follow. What will you do as a Scrum Master here? Interesting question. Anyone would like to answer that question? Anyone would like to answer that question? Question number, the middle question, which is there. Question number 4, and you can unmute yourself and speak now. Question number 4, I need a specific answer for question number 4. How would you have handled this question if you would have got this? Anyone would like to unmute themselves and speak about it?
We should, as a coach, ask open-ended question on why, what is blocking them from, like, first understand the reason. If they have a valid reason, then as a coach, you should not impose your process on the team, right? First of all,
correct.
Yeah, so first understand what is that is holding the team back from looking into this change, or like the process.
Fair
that
enough.
Been,
fair enough. So what is holding the team? Let us say the team is saying that no, still we don't want to implement this.
So
we are
keep
not
asking
convinced.
the open-ended question.
So that's okay. Open-ended question. Okay. Till what time? Midnight, tomorrow morning?
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm asking. So it is 6 o'clock already, right? Let's say this meeting started at 5 o'clock. Yeah, hear me out first. Hear me out first. This meeting started at 5 o'clock. You are trying to ask open-ended question. The team is rolling it back, saying that we don't want to implement this. It is already 6:10. We want to continue this till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, tomorrow morning. How long will you do it?
Get to a middle ground, saying that ask them to see, try it for a sprint, and then in the retrospect we will evaluate and then just see what are the pros and cons and what worked, what did not work, because that's the way, right? Inspect and adapt, or do the retrospect and learn. So ask them that to see if we can this can be implemented in a full as a full process, or some portion of the process can be implemented in the upcoming sprints, and just then take a objective evaluation and the retrospective, and then decide on how to move forward.
So you're basically contradicting yourself. Just few minutes back, you said you should not force the team. Here you're telling the team to force it for a sprint, right?
We are not forcing. That is the suggestion that you are putting on the table for the team to say,
so we don't
okay,
accept it. Okay, so I'm the team leader. I'm the person in the team. I said, no, as a team, we don't agree to this. So I'm trying to play a role play here, okay? I mean, these are
I get
questions.
that, right? Yeah.
Nothing offensive for you, okay? I'm as a team member.
I totally get it.
As a 20-year experienced person, I said, no, this will never work. So let us not do it. So here, then, if you ask me,
the entire team pushes back, then there is something that I'm missing as a coach and a Scrum Master. If it is a push is coming from few people, few members of the team, and if they're key members, then take this topic out of the table for now, and then have a separate discussion with the individuals who are having objection on and then get an objective and understanding of the problem.
Okay, fair enough. So basically, so basically, if you ask me personally, see, it's like a father telling a kid, right? I mean, it's like father telling a kid that please do not do this, okay? But again, ultimately, the teenager kid is going to say, I'm 18 years old. So how can you say I'm now? The constitution of this country allows me to do something like this, right? Let's say my kid is smoking. Okay, as a father, yes, I can beat him. I can basically push back, but he or she is an 18-year-old kid. Okay, and then the pushback will be that how can you say this to me? I'm 18 years old. Even the constitution allows me to, right? I'm now a person who can go and vote. So it is my decision, right? So as a father, what else can you do? Can you lock the kid in the room? No. So tell the team, similarly, you tell the team, okay, fine, face the consequences. So I'll tell my son, face the consequences. If you want to smoke, if you want to drink, face the consequences. I will come back to you after 2 weeks, right? I will tell my team as a scrum master, I'll come back to you after 2 weeks and then let us do a retrospective. I'm not going to force you to do something because obviously that's not what I'm going to do here, right? I mean, similarly, I'm not going to tell my kid, I can only tell you that these are the ill effects of smoking or these are the ill effects of drinking, right? But then again, if you want to go on that route, I can only, and again, see, I'm putting my emotional angle totally besides, okay, when I'm taking that father-son example. I have tried to convince my son. He's trying to put forward his or her view. Finally, I will say, okay, it's your life. Take a call, but definitely we will meet. As a father and son, we will continue to meet, right? It's not that our relationship has gone so, right? We will meet after 2 weeks and then we will talk. So similarly here also, let us see after 2 weeks what happens. I mean, I agree. I don't want to force you to do something. And first of all, I didn't get this question. You have identified Minsu. The Scrum Master won't identify a good practice, right? How can a Scrum Master identify it? It is the team which has to own that practice, right? As a Scrum Master, you might have suggestions for them, but you are not again going to disclose this good practice to them. You're not going to disclose that, okay, because because I did this practice, I feel this is a good practice. No, let it come from the team. Only if it comes from the team, they will own it. Only if I tell my son that what are the ill effects of smoking, if I make him experience, then only he will realize it, right? Me telling some moralistic statement won't work here, right? So you have identified that question is not clear. I will ask the interviewer back, who do you mean you? Am I the Scrum Master who has identified and then I want to implement in the scheme? But then how can I force some practice, right? It is the team which has to come out with those good practices, right? So basically that's how you will have to counter this question. Okay. So the fourth one definitely is a very interesting question, but yeah, I mean, again, I won't force the team to pick up an item because it is ultimately the team which is going to do the activity, right? The team has to own it up. One very golden rule you have to remember is if you try to force something, believe me, team members will not take it. Okay. But if you make them realize that this is what is best for them, okay, and they themselves realize it's okay if they miss one sprint, if they miss an opportunity to rectify that in one sprint, it is absolutely fine or it is absolutely okay in that case, right? So obviously, yes, I mean, that is something interesting. Okay, what is number 5? Architecture is suggesting a new technical approach for a feature. Who's outside of the Scrum team? How do you handle this situation? Why? This is not a problematic situation. This is a good situation, right? This is a good situation if the architecture is suggesting a new technical approach. Obviously, as a Scrum Master, I will coach my team that, okay, I did do a detailed impact analysis, right? If you feel that this approach is not correct, then justify it to the architect, right? I mean, there is nothing wrong in this. As a Scrum Master, here your role is more of a facilitator, more of a coach, or more of a mentor. You will have to basically, and if required, as a Scrum Master, you will have to get these two people on a common ground. Right. Again, I'm not saying that you're a secretary who will arrange a meeting. By common ground, I mean, maybe you first have a meeting with the architect and try to understand what exactly he or she is trying to tell. Then you have a meeting with the team. Then try to understand why they're resisting this. I'm assuming that they're resisting this, though the question does not say that. I'm assuming that the sad part or the non-happy part could be that the team is resisting. Then do your own analysis and then bring them together. So here you will coach not only the Scrum team, here you will also be coaching the architect, right? Here you will you'll be coaching the architect. So interestingly, on this board, I got 5 questions from you only. Before I could disclose my 5 questions, I got 5 questions here on the board only. That's interesting. But yeah, what I'm trying to tell here is basically we need to understand clearly as a Scrum Master, what are my roles and responsibilities? Okay, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do. We are not people who are going to just arrange meetings. We are not just people who are going to set up calendars. Or we are not just going to do facilitate a daily Scrum of 15 minutes. There are a whole lot of activities which we as a Scrum Master or an Agile coach which are there. Okay, so those are some of the important things which we need to do. Okay, third question, I'm still not clear. Which video is being talked here, I'm not sure. Okay, I don't know which video you're referring to. Okay, RTE is a very, very crucial role. RTE is a chief scrum master in a safe environment, in a safe way of working. Scaled agile framework, RTE is a chief scrum master. So definitely RTE is the scrum of master of all the scrum teams which are in that art. So if there are 6 to 7 scrum teams, RTE plays the role of a chief scrum master. And one of the crucial roles of an RTE is to manage the dependencies between the teams, to facilitate scrum of scrums and scrum of product owner events, and to make sure that the team is in alignment with the art and is in alignment with the program increment objectives. So that's one of the crucial roles of a release train engineer. It's not a role which anyone can pick up. It's not a role which, if I'm new, I can suddenly go ahead and pick up. As I said, it's a very, very crucial and an important role, what we have, the release train engineer, or the RTE, what we call. All right. Yeah. So interesting questions from from a few of you. Thanks for putting those questions. Okay. Now, obviously, these are some very specific questions, and these questions are usually asked in the middle of the interview. Okay, these are the questions which we usually get in the middle of the interview or in the middle of the process. Yeah, Arun, you can. You have raised the hand. You have any question, Arun?
Ashutosh, thanks for answering the question. But while you're answering the first question, my power went off, so I couldn't hear your, your take on the first question. I'm sorry. Can you please say that again?
What I would suggest is to go through the recording. I think that would be better in the interest of time. Okay, what I said basically was that I can answer it. That why did it take the team last sprint to realize this? They could have told us in 15 days back also, right? That we are not meeting. So what were you doing as a scrum master? Were you not having those matrix and dashboards to check whether the feature is really getting completed or not? So I will put the blame on a scrum master or an agile coach. So this question is more to check whether as a scrum master or an agile coach, do you apply those checks and balances in your day-to-day activities? That is how I will put it. That is why this question has been asked by the interviewer.
Okay. This was asked in a Scrum Master interview. It was presented with this use case that you're in the last sprint and it's a critical feature, but the team is saying at the last minute they're not able to complete. And if the 2 features are not complete, it's going to jeopardize the whole release.
So my counter question to exactly that's what I'm saying. My counter question would be that as a Scrum Master, do you think I will wait for the last week? Or do you think that I should have done something in the before, right? See, that's what I'm saying. They're trying to put you in trap by this question. If you say that I will do this, that means you have actually let the situation escalate to this situation. The response here would be that what will you first do to avoid this situation? This is a trap question to make you fall into that dugout which they have dug for you. And moment you say that I will do that, that is not a correct answer, because as a Scrum Master, you should not have led the team to tell you on the last day. You should have the team should have told you on the at least 8 or 10 days before this. That is how I would respond to this question.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, sure. Okay. Anyone wants to type any other question apart from these 5 questions? As I said, these 5 questions is what you're talking about in the middle part. Okay. This is something which comes in the middle part of an interview. And obviously, I'm assuming that the interview here would go on for 1 hour, 15 minutes is when the interview would be going, right? And obviously, there's a setting the tone. There's the interview which is setting the tone. Then the middle part, which is where the major part of your discussion happens. Okay, and then what will happen is towards the end, obviously there will be a closing things which would happen, right? Some closing things which would happen as a part of this discussion, right? So those are the things which we normally see, right? I mean, this is how the context related to the discussion actually happens. Right now something very interesting, right? They will also ask you. So many of us think that, if I talk about something very, very good things I have done, right? I have done. Basically, if I try to project myself as a hero, that, I'm this hero of this entire agile team, which I am a Scrum Master. I have done this, I have done that. This is what I have done. And you think that, oh, still I'm not selected in the interview. What happened? I mean, I told so many things, right? This is what I have done. This is what I have not done, right? Or this is what the challenge is. So one important thing you have to remember is you have to also talk about your failure story. I mean, you might drop the webinar after you hear this term. I'm okay. But many times you have to also talk about what as a Scrum Master you could not do. Okay, what were your failure story? What is that you could not do, which you wanted to do? What is your biggest failure? Okay, and most importantly, do you celebrate failure? Yes, you heard it right. Again, you can leave the seminar if you want, if you feel that this is all illogical, what I'm talking. I did a talk on this. I don't know how many of you attended or have watched that video. There's a video available on my YouTube channel where I talked about how do we celebrate failure. Has anyone in the audience here celebrated failure in your agile teams? Have you celebrated failure? Yes, no? You can say yes or no, whatever it is.
Yes or no? I have done it. I have done it, and I used to say that proudly to any interviewer also.
Correct.
I lost first 8 months. I never delivered, but then that made us to realize to do better.
Exactly. I mean, yes. I mean, why do you have to always beat the trumpet around that? Yeah, I'm the greatest hero here in this world. No, there are so many things which, I mean, we are not Supermans here, right? None of us are Supermans. At least I don't claim myself to be a Superman or a superhero. Gone are the days of Superman or superhero. Okay, you need to actually also tell. I mean, this has to come out. If the interviewer is not asking, you have to tell to the interviewer through subtly. You have to tell. You don't have to tell that I have failed miserably. Okay, don't again. You will say that Ashutosh told us this in the webinar. Okay, no, you have to subtly bring about that topic. You have to subtly bring about that topic, and you will get enough opportunities. When you are in an interview, you will get enough opportunities to bring that topic, that what things did not go as per plan. Now, if you want to have a watch at that video, it's a detailed 1 hour video on celebrating failure. You can watch it there. Okay, so failure story. What is my story? So when I say what is my story, we all tend to boost things, right? Okay, my velocity improved. I think that is the most silliest response I've got in an agile coach interview. Okay, that I've improved the velocity by 20% of my team. Okay, I have increased my velocity of my Scrum team by 20% in last 1 year. So, it is like saying something like this, that I decided to go from Pune to Delhi by an aircraft. The pilot decided to first start from ground zero. The aircraft went at 500 feet, then 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 20,000 feet, 35,000 feet, 50,000 feet, 80,000 feet, 90,000 feet. The plane will never land in Delhi. You know where I will go if I'm in that aircraft, right? Velocity is like that. You cannot claim, I don't know how people claim that on the last 2 years, I'm increasing the velocity by so many percentage, sprint by sprint. That means there's something wrong. Either you're cooking up the data, or you're basically not measuring velocity in a true sense. How can you claim that your velocity is constantly increasing? I find no, and believe me, I have grilled people who say this, okay? I have myself grilled people who are giving some vague matrix, right? This is one of the vague matrix, which I would say. I always have this very famous statement of mine. I mean, this is my quote, okay? So velocity, if you ask me, okay, this is a quote which I always make in a conference. I had made it. Velocity is the most used, misused, and abused metric what you can get in this world. I will repeat, velocity is the most used, misused, and abused metric what you can get in this world. And I'm writing it down here because believe me, moment I see, this is a quick alert for me that I'm going to grill this candidate. If I see this word in the resume that I have increased my velocity by X percentage, and yeah, brilliant, I should get an Oscar award for this. Believe me, this candidate, if it comes under my scrutiny, you're gone. Okay, I don't know if anyone has attended my interview. People who have attended my interview, they would know this. Okay, so if you have that statement in your resume that I have increased my velocity by so much percentage, I mean, if you want to keep it, keep. I'm not here to force you, but I think you got the message here, right? What I'm trying to tell here. Okay, and I'm open for a challenge on this statement. If anyone wants to challenge me on this, feel free to challenge me. But believe me, this is a kind of that eye-opener statement in the CV. When I do a Control F, I first check velocity in the resume. And if I see this statement, I've already created my notes, interview notes around it. Yeah, any questions on this? Anyone, any questions on this statement? I mean, yes, I'm not saying that you have to agree with this, but as I said, right, this is something which is a very, very, I mean, wrong notion which people have, that you have to be a superhero. Gone are the days of superhero. Be a common man, right? Be a common man and show whatever you can do, right? So yes, it is not just a success story. It is a failure story. Vague information about matrix, right? I have seen people who have done certification. They cannot articulate what is the difference between a definition of done and a definition of ready. Forget the advanced questions on scenario-based questions. What is the difference between a definition of done and definition of ready? People don't know this difference. Okay, out of 10 candidates I interview, at least 6 people don't know this difference. What is the difference between a DOD and a DOR, or why are both required? Why? Basically, this is a basic fundamental things, right? I mean, we should know this, right? We should be aware of it. Only then we will be able to coach our teams, right? That what is a DOD and what is a DOR. Okay, another interesting thing, right? Another interesting thing I've observed, you write something in a CV and most of the things are copy pasted. Okay, so this was a very interesting case. Okay, I got 2 resumes. Okay, resume A and resume B. And luckily they landed up in the same role. Okay, for the same role, except the demographic details. Okay, and the company details. Okay, except the demographic details and the career timeline the contents in each company was exactly same. So if resume A had company A1, A2, A3, A4, whatever description was he or she had written about Agile Coach, the same description was copy pasted by resume B. Both people failed the interview because both of them had copied from a resume C. Okay, so this is a common thing what people do, right? I mean, they actually copy something. Believe me, you have to live with every full stop or a comma in your resume. So if you have not done that, I would strongly recommend you to read what you have written in your own resume. Spend that 1 hour, 1.5 hours in your own resume. Go through it, what you have written, and articulate it well. Okay, because see, many people don't even know. So when I ask this person, that you have written that you have done, you have been implementing SAFe. He said, no, I never implemented SAFe. I said, it's written in your resume. Go to page number so and so of your resume, this paragraph. He said, yeah, but, and then he realized that probably he has copy pasted it. Right? So don't do that. I mean, just because your friend's resume is there, it is more attractive. He got $1 million job because of that resume. If you do a copy paste, it is not going to happen, right? It is not going to give you the same result, right? So every full stop, every comma in your resume has to be validated by you. It is something which you have to validate. Many people don't even do that. Okay. And then of course that classic problem of having those irregular dates in the company, joining date, end date. Now you will ask me that, okay, what do you have to do with this? As an agile coach, definitely I would see, right, how methodological you are about your own career, right? Tomorrow you could do a similar blunder in a PI planning meeting, or you could do a similar blunder in a daily scrum, right? If you're facilitating a daily scrum, it's your resume. So obviously that chronology has to be maintained, right? That which company you joined when, which company you left when, what is a gap? If at all there's a gap, what is the reason for that? It's a minor thing. Agreed. It's a minor thing. HR person is supposed to do that. But if I look at this, one interesting thing will come out is that you're not serious about your own resume, the document which is going to fetch you a good job, right? That is how at least I will interpret. Okay, I may be wrong again, but at least that is what I will interpret when I look at the resume. Okay, another interesting word which I see in a resume a lot. Okay, very interesting word in my resume. Managed a Scrum team of 8 associates. What is this, by the way? Any thoughts around this? Managed a Scrum team. Why is it generating a lot of eyeballs, this resume? Managed a Scrum team of 8 associates.
Not
because we do not manage as a Scrum Master.
You do not manage as a Scrum Master. Okay, so what do we do? Then why is a Scrum Master required?
We serve the team.
They serve the team, correct.
And it's not associates again.
It's not associates again. Yeah. So what is it? So what is the right word? Again, you might be thinking that resources also not a nice word.
Team members, we should not use it as resources because they
you can just say developers. No, come on, take the help of Scrum Guide. No,
Scrum team members.
You can just say developers. No, Scrum Guide says that developers now. What is the harm in this?
Yes. Many people even now say that resources. Many people. I have seen from many. Yes.
Okay, so this is one thing. Okay, and one interesting comment I saw in one of the resumes. Okay, this actually, I mean, that day I literally was about to get a heart attack. Okay, luckily I did not get a heart attack. And yeah, let me tell you what that statement was. Okay, this was something which will make you go bonkers, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so one of the activities which this person wrote in his resume was, and these are all resumes which are there with me, but obviously I can't show you because they are with names and all. Okay, this was something which literally put me off. Okay, and then I actually had water. And then I came back again. Okay, this was the statement. Preparing minutes of meeting of daily Scrum. I said, how much minute it takes you? He said 15 minutes. I asked him, how much is a daily Scrum? He said 20 minutes. So I said, first of all, yes, I mean, I don't want to go into the theoretical part of it. Okay, I assume that it is 20 minutes. I can understand he's a new Scrum Master, he or she. I said, first of all, why are you preparing this daily Scrum? The answer was the previous Scrum Master was doing it, so I continued that practice. Okay, fair enough. Did you ever think that is it required? He said, yes, I send out an email after it is published. So email takes another 1 minute to draft that email. Then I asked him, how many people read this daily Scrum minutes of meeting? He said, I don't know. I said, okay, I don't know what happens to whatever happens in this interview. Tomorrow, what you have to do is when you send out this daily Scrum, put a read receipt and tell me how many people read it. This person obviously was not selected, but he called me after 20 days and he said, you know what, last 10 days I've been observing, no one even reads this document. I said, then why are you sending it? Why are you sending it? Okay, I'm not going to tell you that it is wrong sending, because if I would have told you that it is wrong sending, you would have countered with me on that day. But now you realize that you are wasting 15 minutes of your precious time in preparing a document which no one is reading. You could very well use this for something else. Right. So these are definitely eyeballs. These are definitely which will raise an eyebrow when you're actually looking at a resume like this, right? When such interesting things come out, right? I mean, some very interesting statements. Believe me, there are many people, many interviewers like me in the industry who are willing to latch on these statements. Okay, they're willing to latch on these statements, right? That I increase my velocity by so and so percentage. Right, preparing minutes of meeting of daily Scrum, right? I mean, these are some of the I would like to use a very strong word here. These are like a taboo topics or a taboo kind of a statement, and especially when you're trying to put these things, right? I mean, yes, definitely this is what we were doing in a waterfall world. This is what we continue to do it in the traditional way of project management. But definitely when we're talking about waste identification and waste reduction, this is something definitely we need to take care of this, right? I mean, these are some common sense which unfortunately is very, very uncommon, right? What we see when we go into an interview, right? Okay, one more tip I would like to give you is that from an interview perspective, okay, when you're preparing for an interview tips. Okay, so one interview tip is that you have to spend at least 1 hour before interview, whichever day it is. So if my interview is tomorrow, spend 1 hour before that and do a mock dry run. Okay, do a mock dry run of what, how will you articulate your story? So even the introduction part, how you are going to introduce to the panel, right? What are you going to articulate? And then I think we already know some of the common questions, right? Like, why do you want to leave your current organization? Right? Why do you want to why are you looking for a change so early? I think especially if I have left my earlier job 2 months back and this is a new job which I've picked up, and within 6 months I'm going for a new job. Obviously, these are some of the questions which they're likely to ask, right? So do a dry run. One thing which has worked for me, one very interesting thing which has worked for me in the pandemic is I have found a new tool. I have found a new tool in my life, which is nothing but this diary. I don't know where it is. Yeah, it is here. This is a new tool which I found. I've started writing so many things in this. Okay, this I was not doing before pandemic, but believe me, it helped me a lot. At least it helped me a lot in order to bring about that journey. Okay, so this is what we need to do. Okay, so this is what we need to do. We need to make sure that we have this diary in place. We write it down and articulate it, right? Articulate it well, articulate your thoughts well, And I'm sure this is something which is going to help. And then there are those common questions, as I said, right? Why do you want to change, right? What motivates you to change, etc. Right. Another important thing which could work out, and it definitely works, is you have to build your agile story. When I say build your agile story, I'm not saying that you have to fake something. Okay, that is not the intention. Already the story is in your life, right? Your experience as an agile coach, your experience as a scrum master, you have to build that story, you have to craft it, and this is your life story, right? So no one else can do better than you, right? If you ask me to build your agile story, it won't happen, right? It won't happen. You have to sit maybe 1 or 2 hours, and then you have to build that story and move ahead.
Can I add one?
Yes.
One night?
Yes.
Okay. When you're building your agile story, don't think that you can finish it in 2 hours. It will take as much as time needed. Okay. Just be genuine. And what we are telling as an agile story is, how am I going to articulate my agile journey? That
exactly.
We are telling it as agile story.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Yes. It is not something. In fact, spend a Saturday, Sunday for it. I mean, take 1 weekend for yourself for building your career. That is what I always recommend my participants also. That 1 weekend which you spend Saturday, Sunday will definitely help you, right? And yeah, as I said, right, and as Albert also very clearly said, that it is not something which so I can't copy Albert's story, right? I mean, believe me, even if I copy Albert's resume, it is the one of the best resumes. I will not crack the interview. Okay, I will not crack the interview. I will miserably blunder there, right? Because Albert is a unique personality. I am a unique personality. There are good things in Albert. There are good things in me, right? There are not so good things in Albert, not so good things in me, right? Each one of us has got its own set of challenges which are there. It's a mix and match which is there, right? So basically, that story what you have to build your agile story. And most importantly, nowadays they allow you, I mean most of the interviews are happening in a virtual mode right now. You can do whiteboarding like what I did, right? Like I mean, it's a little scribbling, it's not a neat one, as you can see, but do whiteboarding. Why not? I mean, they encourage you to do whiteboarding. You can always request the interviewer, can I open a whiteboard? Can I draw something? A picture is always worth 1,000 words, as they say, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words, which is there, right? So why not have that whiteboarding? Okay. Now, one last tip I would like to give is, there is always an opportunity, irrespective of how your interview has gone, okay, to ask one question to the interviewer. So the interviewer will ask you, do you have any question for me? I'm sure you would have got this, right? Do you have any question for us, or do you have any question for me? Now, irrespective of the fact how your interview has gone, it could have gone great, it could not have gone great. What you should also take this as an opportunity is to learn for yourself, that you are better prepared for the next interview. So anyone would like to share here what questions you will ask in this case? When the interviewer asks you that, do you have a question for me? What questions you normally ask to the interviewer? Anyone would like to answer that? And maybe
about the particular position.
About the particular position.
About the particular position, already, like, how I'll be fitting in that position, how many teams I'll be. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll speak later, no issues.
Yeah, I'll be asking, like, how I'll be fitting in this position with how many teams I'll be working with. Will I be having other opportunities to get into the SAFE program, to understand in those aspects?
Okay.
Can I add?
Yeah, Albert, just give me a minute. I'll give you a minute. Yeah. So see that I feel that you will already come to know in that conversation of 1 hour. I feel that. Okay, Albert, now you can go ahead, Albert. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I did. I prepared what I am going to ask. To be frank, I prepared, I wrote down in a paper, kept it ready with me for waiting for this question. So my first question would be, what are the different characteristics that are needed to succeed in the current job? That is one.
Okay.
Second is, what are the different parameters that you look as a success of this particular role? Second.
Okay.
Third is, what are the different aspects that the previous employee did which led to a failure of that role? The reason why I am asking these three questions as a predominantly is to understand how they are evaluating you. and your success? And what is your culture?
What is your culture?
Right? And also, what are the key areas of failure? So that I can be prepared. The last question which I would typically ask is, what are the skill sets that are required to work with different people? Or what are the skill sets and metrics that you would be looking forward to? Okay, so these are the some of the questions which I ask. But before the interview, I prepare this, I keep it in a paper with enough spaces given, and during the interview, I write it in pencil, using pencil.
Perfect.
And for,
yes.
Yeah, and for every level of interview, I have different set of questions similar to this. You cannot ask the same question to every level because they also take a note. So I have the 10 questions which I'm talking about, one question for one level or two questions for another level, something like that. I mix and match, and also the position with whom I am talking to.
Perfect. Yes. So yes, I mean, so what Albert said is that, yeah, I mean, I think Albert brought in a very important point. Do your homework. Don't just go for an interview. See, this is an opportunity. I see this as an opportunity when you get this chance that, do you have any question for me from the interviewer? First of all, understand that, as Albert said, that on what criteria will my performance be evaluated? It is okay if I fail in that transformation, but I should know in the beginning that how will I be treated as a failure, right? Or what my role as a failure will be. What are the yardsticks on which you are going to decide the success and failure about my role, the success and failure about the transformation engagement. This is also an opportunity, if you ask me, to ask them that, what are your current challenges? What are the top 3 challenges? I mean, it is a time to turn the tables back on them, right? I mean, they have been grilling you for last 1 hour. This is an opportunity for you as an interviewee to turn the tables on the interviewer, saying that, okay, tell me, sir, what are the top 3 challenges? And again, you have to be assertive. You don't have to be aggressive here. You have to be very polite and assertive. I understand definitely that if you're hiring a key role here as a Scrum Master and Agile coach, definitely there are those pain areas which you're trying to address. Can I get some more clarity on the top 3 pain areas? If it is a generic position, like many organizations do, right? They don't have an account in mind. They don't have a particular position, I mean, a particular domain or a client in mind. They're generally hiring, the project could be coming up in next 2 to 3 months. Maybe you can ask the leader in that case that, okay, in the past transformation engagement which this organization has done, which transformation failed or which was a successful one, and what were those success and the failure criteria, right? Maybe that also can be another question you can ask them, right? That what are the top 3 success criteria, what are the top 3 failure criteria, and then you engage them in a conversation. Don't just listen to them. So if I tell you that, you know what, the top 3 failures was, you know what, my team was not trained in Agile. The second one was the client was constantly changing requirement. The third one was that, you know what, our mindset is still in the traditional way of thinking. So give some commentary on that. Try to give a commentary on the top 1 or 2 things, what challenges, so that the interviewer gets a confidence that, yes, I mean, this person is not just asking a question for the sake of asking, right? Many people use this that, okay, I've seen people asking, okay, what will be my salary? What will be, what is the notice period in your company? Don't ask these questions in an interview like this. You already will be having an HR round after that, right? I mean, go and ask those questions in that forum, right? For this forum, this is a unique opportunity what you have got to actually understand or get an insight into how agile the interviewer is in first place. Believe me, that is also something interesting, right? How agile the interviewer himself or herself is in basically when he or she is sitting on the other side of the fence. So this is an opportunity for you. This is a great opportunity for you to ask these questions and get a clarification on them. Right? Yeah. And yeah, thanks Albert for sharing your input. I mean, I know Albert for sure. I've known him for almost 7-8 years now, I think, if not more. And I know the way he prepares. He puts in a lot of preparation for any interview. I mean, he does his homework very well. I know that. I've seen that. I've heard from him also many times when we conversed in groups also. But yeah, what I think I gave more than 5 tips, if I'm not wrong. I had promised to give you 5 tips. But I'm sure you got more tips, and especially from Albert also, you got some tips, which I never knew that Albert will be joining this call. But anyways, thanks, Albert, for sharing your your side of the story also. And yes, I did get a lot of interesting questions from you also. So I think, yeah, I'm almost out of time because I have another meeting in another 10 minutes, which is coming up. But I mean, of course, I'll be conducting more such sessions for different roles as I move along. It won't be just be for an agile coach or a scrum master. This is, of course, something which was easier for me to conduct because, as I said, I am playing the role of an agile coach. I have been a scrum master myself. I have myself seen some of these challenges from an interview perspective. So I thought that I will start with this series. Do provide your feedback on this. For those of you who are not aware, I have a YouTube channel of mine. There are almost 90 plus videos on that. And I'm sure those videos will help you to clear interviews. There are a lot of tips given. So many of the questions what you have asked earlier, there are tips given on that channel also. I mean, you can subscribe to the channel. I've given the link of that channel in the chat window. So if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and watch the videos on the channel. So one last, yeah, sorry, any questions? Sorry.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashutosh. I'm subscribed to your YouTube channel. I just wanted a quick question. When you say whiteboard, what do you mean? Are you saying that at the interview, we can ask to use a whiteboard, and why?
Because it is, I always believe personally. So first of all, this became a little challenging in this remote way of working. Earlier, when I used to go in an interview, there was always in a room, there was a whiteboard. I used to tell the interviewer, sir, can I, with your permission, can I explain it on a whiteboard? So I used to visually represent. So let us say that what is my role? I used to visually draw it there and represent it. Now in this remote world, I mean, there might be some data security restriction and all, but the best whiteboard which I have seen even people, and I appreciate people using is this MS Paint. So you can see it is a picture is always worth 1,000 words, what I always feel. So it is easier to explain using a whiteboard than basically talking about something. Although we are on a video face to face, I always feel that it is better to represent it visually in a better way.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. No issues. Anytime. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions? Any last questions before we finally wrap this up? Okay. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah.
If anybody of the participants want what I asked those people, I can share the picture of the paper which I wrote.
Okay.
I can share it with you. You can share it in email or anywhere. Yeah.
Sure. That would be great. Yeah. That would really be great. Yeah. Any other questions anyone has before we finally wrap up? Anyone else? Any questions? Okay. Yeah, so do subscribe to the channel. I'm sure there's a lot of learning for you. And I know people were on LinkedIn Live and YouTube also. I will come back to you because obviously those people cannot talk like the people here on the Zoom meeting. But I'll definitely come back to your queries and your questions. And yeah, whatever is the feedback, feel free to provide the feedback, good, bad, ugly. Definitely, I'll be more than happy to know about it. And I hope you invested your last 45 minutes with me in a worthwhile session. Okay, I always believe time is most costliest resource. I'm using the word resource here for time than money. Yes, money, even if you pay, let's assume that the session was not worthwhile, you can earn money back. But the time what you have invested with me is gone now. Okay, last 45 minutes. So I hope you got a value for the time what you invested with me. So on that note, I would like to thank all of you for wholeheartedly asking questions and interacting with me. And thanks a lot and have a great evening or a day ahead, whichever part of the world you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Have a good day.
Thanks, Albert. Yeah, thanks, Albert, for the input. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I learned success criteria to ask. Thank you very much. That's a good one.